Tuesday night was the start of the Mike Krzyzewski farewell tour. It also serves as a coming-out party for star freshman Paolo Banchero. Banchero scored 22 points, showed his wise intention to be the top overall pick in next year's draft. Fellow freshman Trevor Keels also stealing the show, dropping 25 against Kentucky in a battle of blue bloods and top 10 teams in the Big Apple. Duke winning and covering the 2.5. For Keels, his 25 tied Marvin Bagley III for most in a Duke debut under Coach K. R.J. Barrett, who plays for the Knicks, was in the building last night, leads the way with his 33-point effort back in 2018. When Banchero dealt with some cramps early in the second half, Keels took over, said, "I knew when P went out, somebody had to step up, and that's what I did." Our guy Gary Parrish was in the building, College Hoops Insider, co-host of the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Gary, what was it like to be at the Garden, packed house, to watch the Duke freshmen step up and get that win over Kentucky?
Well, first, let's just focus on what it was like to be in the Garden with a packed house. It's been a while for college basketball since we've had an environment like that. And though it was really nice for the opener of the Champions Classic, Kansas-Michigan State, the energy in the building got ratcheted up quite a bit, in advance of that Duke-Kentucky showdown. And so it was just nice to look around and see that, because it is something that this sport missed desperately last season, as we were just trying to get through with no crowds or partial crowds all the way through the Final Four. As for Duke specifically, incredible performance. I mean, we've known for a while that Paolo Banchero is a special prospect, a guy who's got a chance to be the #1 pick of the 2022 NBA draft. He lived up to the hype, looked the part. If we were drafting tonight, he'd be the guy who hears his name called first. He had 22 points, 7 rebounds. He was 7 of 11 from the field. You've shown the highlight where he caught the ball on the elbow right here. A little turnaround jumper into a double team. He's 6'10", 250 pounds. Men his size are not supposed to be able to do that, but he can do it comfortably, and he was terrific. The real surprise, though, was Trevor Keels, 25 points. And a really efficient shooting performance. This is a young man who, is a 5-star prospect, but, not in the top 20 of the class of 2021, and widely regarded to be Duke's 3rd best prospect in this heralded recruiting class. A.J. Griffin is another, like Banchero, projected lottery pick. He barely played. 11 minutes, got 2 points. He's still trying to get comfortable after dealing with a knee injury in the preseason. But Keels, he really exceeded all expectations. And now, this seems crazy because it runs counter to what people typically perceive. But now it looks like all of us, myself included, might have underrated Duke a little bit this preseason.
All right, so let's take a look on the other side. Coach Cal, very complimentary of Coach K and his guys. How do we evaluate this UK team with some transfers infused in the mix?
Kentucky's going to be fine. They were the preseason pick to win the SEC, and they had this to, a 4-point game late with a 3-ball in the air. They fought till the end, but I will tell you, it was noticeable very early that Duke was just bigger, stronger, a little quicker, and definitely more talented. Like, Paolo Banchero is going to be the #1 pick in the draft. A.J. Griffin is supposed to go in the lottery as well. And then who knows what happens with Trevor Keels' draft stock if he continues to play at a high level. On the other side, if you look at the guys that John Calipari relied on, to play most of the minutes for Kentucky, I'm not sure how many of them are going to play in the NBA. Ty Washington, the freshman point guard, I would assume gets there, although he was not good last night. And I'm not sure anybody else, say in the starting lineup, is an NBA player. That's not typically something we say about Kentucky. This is a program that has put as many as 5 players, in the first round of the NBA draft, who has had, the top 2 picks in the 2012 NBA draft in Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. They have some really good college players, and I think they're going to be a really good team, but they're lacking the NBA talent they normally have. And I don't want to say that was the only difference between them and Duke, but it was an obvious difference between them and Duke.
All right, so it's just one night, obviously, for college basketball, but we saw some amazing debuts. Banchero, Amani Bates, and Chet Holmgren pressing in his Gonzaga debut. What'd you see out of him?
He was terrific. I mean, that stat line is something that we haven't seen in decades. He is been labeled for years now as a unique prospect, perhaps one of the most unique prospects we've ever seen because of the way he can bounce it at his size, shoot comfortably from the perimeter at his size, but also on the defensive end, be a real rim protector, a real shot blocker. And he showed all of that in this blowout win over Dixie State. It's wild to think that the consensus preseason National Player of the Year is Gonzaga's Drew Timme, but we've always understood that once these games get started, it's possible he won't even be the best player on his team. And again, just one game against a low major opponent, but Chet Holmgren looked like he could be the star of the nation's #1 team, and a Gonzaga program that is the betting favorite to win the 2022 NCAA tournament. And watching Banchero in person last night and then seeing Chet Holmgren's box score and highlights just made me start looking forward to even more the day after Thanksgiving, because you're going to get Duke Gonzaga in Las Vegas, and that means a Banchero Holmgren showdown. Those two guys right now would almost certainly be the top 2 picks in the 2022 NBA draft.
That would be fun. And Gonzaga, you mentioned the betting favorite at Caesars, 6-1. The next team, 12-1. Gary, certainly appreciated again on College Basketball Pod with Matt Norlander and GP. A recap of the Champions Classic and other news and notes. Download and follow today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.